Current song, and you're hearing it on D106.3 and D on DAB. And I'm with Councillor Mike Jones, the leader, of course, of Cheshire West and Chester Council. As I said at the start, Mike, we've had a huge number of questions relating to the drilling proposal in Upton and the drilling that's already happened in the Farndon area. Before I run through some of these questions that I've had in, I've got Matt Bryan on the phone, who's one of the people camping at the moment at the Upton site. Hello, Matt. Good morning.
Morning, Gavin.
Good morning. I know you've got a few questions that you'd like to put directly to Mike. I just need to tell you that before you start, I'm going to have to break in for the travel news in about 3 minutes because we've got a lot of stuff going on the A55 at the moment. But as soon as we've done the travel news, I'll come back to you, OK?
Wonderful, no problem.
OK, you're through to Mike Jones.
Morning, Mike.
Morning, Matt.
Yeah, I've got a few questions. Starting, when Cheshire house prices come down as a result of the full-scale exploration, which will eventually happen, will residents be receiving a downbanding of the council tax? And if so, how much will the council lose as a result of it?
Well, the house prices in Cheshire are broadly 10 or 11 times the average salary. We're one of the most expensive houses in the country, clearly outside London and the South East. So for house prices to come down a little bit after their huge increases over the last 20 years actually might be a really good thing for our young people who can't afford housing.
Not if you've bought one and you'll be a negative equity.
I don't think a lot of new first-time buyers in the area would be too happy about that. Well, also, what would you say to the elderly?
We are losing our young people from Cheshire. The number of young people in Cheshire is going down because they can't afford to live here, which is not good for our economic future prosperity. So
I think that sounds absolutely ridiculous. What would you say to the elderly couple who came to the campsite on Sunday, who are pulling out of buying a bungalow in the area? They were particularly worried about the large vehicles that will be on the country lanes.
Well, we have large vehicles on the country lanes now. Milk tankers are pretty large vehicles, and they cut up the verges. They certainly do in my ward, and so we have a lot of large vehicles supporting the farming industry on our lane. So I'm not entirely...
You're talking about 50 times probably the traffic. I mean, if it does go through to full-scale exploration, you're talking about 2,500-3,000 rigs in the area.
Well, at the moment,
I mean, we're not talking milk tankers, Mike. We're talking a serious amount of movement.
Well, we're not talking about anything at the moment because there is no applications in or agreed to extract shale gas in or around Chester. So we're
well
talking
aware
about
of
any
that.
traffic at the moment.
Energy are quantifying the resources, Mike. As we know, they're quantifying their product is data. They will gather their data and they will resell it to a larger energy company who will extract. What we're trying to do is stop our energy from getting their product to resell.
Well, there is a reasonable thing to do. There's been exploration drilling across the country for decades, and it's not caused any problems, and is about understanding what the geology is and what the ability is to extract. And we have to remember where the drilling takes place is not where the product is extracted from. And because you drill down, then you drill horizontally, and it could be 10, 15, 20 kilometres away from where the wellhead is. So, you know...
No, that's not how it works.
And I think, we need to get...
You've got about 1,000 metres, 1.5, in between 1 and 2 kilometres from each well.
Well, it depends on the technology, and there are a number of different technologies, and at the moment they are being developed and looked at by government. And as far as I'm aware, there is no application in for any of this technology.
OK, I tell you, we've just got to break there for the travel news.
You've been talking about, I've noticed on Twitter recently...
Matt, we're just going to have to stop for the travel news, and we'll come back in just a second, OK? And we'll pick up on exactly those points and also exactly what the council's current position is.
Traffic and travel.
So let's just establish, Mike, exactly what the council's position is at the moment. We know there's been exploratory drilling in Farndon, and we know that permission has been given for exploratory drilling in Upton. That's why some people have set up the camp there, what's being called the Protecion camp, and I think one or two other places have had permission as well. What other approaches have been made to the council regarding this drilling, coal bed methane extraction, potential future fracking?
Well, I've got a list here where we have 9 permissions given for exploration. And in fact, one of them is about 400 yards from my own house.
So
that was agreed in 2010.
Only at this stage permissions for exploration.
That's right. And what they're looking to do is explore the geology. And of course, they had the issue near Blackpool at Flyde where there's allegedly some earthquakes caused by the fracturing process, and that's been proven to be the case. So it's really important that if they to move forward on any of this in terms of extraction of the minerals, then actually they do need to understand the geology to avoid that sort of thing happening.
Okay. I guess, if I could bring Matt back in, I guess, not wanting to preempt what you're going to say, Matt, but I guess you guys are worried that, a company is not going to do exploratory drilling without the intention to do actual drilling at some point down the line, should they get planning permission.
Well, absolutely. I mean, Dart Energy won't be doing any extraction themselves. They're a minnow of an energy company. What they'll do is they'll gather the data and then they'll resell to a larger. They obviously own the pedal licenses. And they will resell to a larger gas extraction company. But by halting their operations now, we're preventing them from getting their product to resell. Dart Energy are an Australian company. They've been kicked out of Australia. For various environmental breaches, and they've been welcomed with open arms to the UK. It's been noted that they didn't use chemical bonding in their Farndon site, which was reported to CWaC and the Environmental Agency, and nothing was done about it.
Yeah, it's quite well documented that Dart don't function in Australia anymore. So this actual question is coming from Pippa, who says, I live just over half a mile from the Upton drilling site. Why did Dart Energy leave Australia? Is something she put into Google, and it showed an article from The Australian, a paper from last year that indicates that Dart left after the state of New South Wales decided to introduce more stringent regulation, including no drilling within 2 kilometres of housing or other significant developments, with the zoo, schools and a lot of people living within 2 kilometres of the sites for which the council has agreed permission. Are you satisfied that drilling so close to people's homes and the zoo will be considered safer than it was in Australia last year? That's Pippa in Upton.
Well, I've not had any concerns or issues, as I understand, about just drilling an exploratory well. One took place literally 400 or 500 yards from this particular office, and nobody really noticed it, never had any impact, and the ground was returned to what it was as it was found originally. So I don't think there's a problem, as far as I can see, in terms of just exploratory drilling. In terms of the actual fracturing process, the actual extraction of the gas, the council does not yet have a policy position on this. We've not discussed it. We have a general statement in our local plan. And what I am doing, as I mentioned at the council meeting on Thursday night, is we're going to set up a member working group of a number of members within the council, and they're going to gather evidence from both the industry, from experts, for and against, and from those people who support the extraction of gas and those who are opposed to it. And then we'll form a view, and they will hopefully recommend, on a balanced basis, what the policy of the council should be.
Okay, Matt, just give us a 30-second response to that, and then I will come back to you before the end of the show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not just a happy camper. I'm a local resident. I'm a local business owner. I've also spoken to a lot of other local businesses. Johnny Kershaw from Protecion Water, he's outraged. He's got massive concern for the contamination of his aquifer, and he can't understand why the council are jumping in, allowing Dart Energy to achieve the statistics that they will get to resell to a larger extraction company.
OK, well, I'll put that to Mike in just a couple of minutes.
The Breakfast Show with Lucas Renault. New Nissan Juke 1.6 N-Tech from £499 deposit, £229 per month.
John Martin, Anywhere for You. We've got 5 minutes left on the subject of drilling and fracking. I wonder how much more we can cover in 5 minutes. Just before that song, we were talking about the issue of water becoming contaminated. Susan, who's in Upton, says, what scientific evidence is there that aquifers that help to supply much of Chester with tap water will not be contaminated if fracking goes ahead in Cheshire? I presume there's none at the moment, because this is the point, is that nobody on either side really knows the full implications of full-scale fracking yet.
That, I would agree with that, and I think this is where the government and the industry need to up their game, because they need to get information out there to set out whether it's safe or not, and what the issues are and what the risks are. And I am told they've drilled 1 million wells in the US, and they've had 2 issues, and the issues were not about the fracturing process. They were about actually not installing the well properly, which is where the issue is.
The fact of the matter is 5%...
Go on, Matt.
Yeah, the fact of the matter is 5% of these wells fail immediately. Eventually, every well will fail over its lifetime, be it 100 years. That's a fact of the matter, and there's been 1,500 cases of water contamination in the US alone. I mean, it's well documented, and the reports are coming out now. We're not looking at a new technology. They've been fracking in the US for 8 years now. There's plenty of statistics. There's reports from the University of Missouri. We've got toxicologists in the UK. I mean, our coal seams aren't the same as US. I mean, it's just a fact of the matter. There's going to be contamination.
I mean, these guys have done their research, Mike, haven't they?
Well,
these guys have done the research.
As Matt's just said, the coal seams in this country are very different to those in the US, so it's not a fact at all, and that's why you need to do the exploration, to understand what the risks and issues are. And remember, we operate a very different safety system to what operated in America.
The regulations.
And I've worked in America. Can I finish, please? You're interrupting. I've worked in America, and they operate a very different safety system. We operate a risk management and control system in the UK, and we have a very much better safety record in the UK than the US.
So why weren't your risk safety systems implemented in Farndon?
What we need to do is we need to, as a council, because the decision about whether we do this or not is a government decision, and it's got support on all parties, as far as I'm aware. If this is going to happen, then what we as a council need to do is understand what the issues are and understand what restrictions should be in place if it happens.
But it won't happen unless the planning permission is given, though, will it?
And that's why we need to develop the policy, and that's why I've suggested we have an all-party working group that looks at this and looks at the issues, both the safety to the environment, safety to people, what the community return is, and of course what the consequences are, because we have tens of thousands of jobs in this area that rely on businesses that are high energy users, whether it's Airbus, GM Motors, Growhow, Quinglass, Unilever. These are all big energy users, and if
these are all buzzwords, Mike. Lord Brown, the former BP CEO,
can I finish, please, Matt? Can I finish, please? Because Matt, can I finish? Because people can't hear if you're talking over me. But we have tens of thousands of people employed in these industries, and already in the US, where gas is 60% lower, they are constructing manufacturing plant that will now effectively force us to close our plants down because they'll be competitive. So as a country, we have a responsibility to those residents.
Matt, I'm going to give you the last word, don't worry. Okay, we literally got 40 seconds, Matt, so your response to that from Mike, then we've got to call it a day for today.
I mean, arguably the biggest energy expert in the UK, and the current Driller CEO has said in November last year, energy prices will categorically not go down as a result of alternative gas extraction. So I don't know if Mike Jones knows some different piece of information, but it's just not going to happen. But what I would say to anybody in Chester, if you value your house prices, if you value your environment, we're having a kids camping weekend at the site. We've got Easter egg hunts, we've got marshmallow roasting, and you're very welcome.
Matt, thank you very much for coming on this morning. Thank you. And I'm sure we'll return to this subject again lots of times. We've already done it a couple of times. We'll do it plenty more. Just going to clarify one thing. Earlier on when I asked you about house prices, Mike, and you said, well, it'd be good if house prices come down a little bit because young people can't afford to get on the housing ladder. I obviously pointed out that it's bad if you own a house and you've still got quite a mortgage on it, because you might end up in negative equity. But does that mean that you concede that where drilling goes ahead, neighbouring houses will fall in value?
No, I don't concede that, because I haven't seen the evidence of that. You will get individual...
May fall in value.
They may fall in value, they may increase in value. And we have the same issues with HS2, where people are saying our house prices have decreased. Well, actually, where HS1 was put in, the house prices did decrease initially, but when the rail was opened, they've increased massively. So a house that might have been worth $1 million down in Kent is now worth $3 million, because it's only 200 yards from the thing. So
I just thought we might have got an admission from you on something there, but I just wanted to clarify whether you had or not. But turns out we didn't.
Well, I think we need to understand what the facts are and understand the whole thing better before you can actually make assumptions.
OK, well, I'm sure, as I say, we'll return to this subject perhaps next time when you join us on the second Friday in May. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Gary.
Councillor Mike Jones.
The Breakfast Show with Lucas Renault, Nissan and Dacia.